Yes, we are live. That's good. So, I will ask Gert to set up the meeting on his computer, and then we can sort of start.
Right, and I guess I'm on a screen somewhere in a room, right?
Yeah. You will be projected on the screen. You will be projected on the screen, so we'll make sure that if I will share your screen as such. You can share then your screen with the thing, but before you leave, wait. How do I do this? Let's see if I can make you hosts. Yes, I will make you a host now. But before you leave, you should make me or Gert. You should make Gert again. But I will tell you. Then you make him host, so that we can go on to the next person. All right.
I'm checking how can I do that. So
if you right click, if you go onto you hover with your mouse over another person's pictures.
Yes, I see, main host. Perfect.
Okay,
thank you.
And then you can do that. So I'm just asking now Gert to come because he has his computer with him, and then we can sort of start. But thank you very much already. I will. Yeah. So I will just go and fetch him. Meanwhile, so and then make sure that this is okay. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I'm just here for to record and help with the technical difficulties. No idea the planetarium, but I will do my best. Yes. Come back on Sunday evening, so we still have Saturday and Sunday. Sunday afternoon. Okay, great. So we still have time to do something after project, dinner, and party. Saturday. Yep. Yeah, first time.
Maybe tomorrow won't do much time, but try to see some of the citizens.
Yeah. I want to the Antonium. It's always been fascinating, the structure, everything inside.
No, I think we're right up there, right? I didn't see thinking nearby. You didn't sit there where I started.
Hola Marcos, soy Yanire.
Hola, buenos días.
Yo creo que soy la que está en Gales y también tiene que hablar, o sea que no tengo nada que ver con la conferencia, no te puedo ayudar en ese sentido, pero Philip está por ahí, ¿vale?
Muy bien, perfecto.
Oh, I have my seat here. Do you want to come closer? Yes, that's my place. I want to be here if I have to go somewhere.
You saw the dome, it's amazing.
Yeah, I know, we were there too. Tomorrow. What? No. They are all for you. No. Yeah. There's this classic satire, I think, and then the reindeer.
Philip, kan het zijn dat je mij geen invite gestuurd hebt?
Jawel.
Okay, great.
Hi, Marcos.
Hello.
Hi. Just going to connect everybody with with the system here in the room. Then Marcos, we start first with you. And then we go to, it's from CULTVR.
Yeah.
Sorry, your name again, sorry.
Janire.
Yeah.
Nire.
Ja, nee, okay. Gertsmet at
Outlook.com, Janidi.
Okay. We are live at the moment. And this has been sent. So, because I need to close this meeting. I made Janine at this moment host. So perhaps I should make now, we need to make, Marcos, are you going to share a screen?
Yes, I will.
Okay, so then, yeah, thank you very much, Janine. You did fantastic in sharing this. Once Gert has logged in, then I will close off here because we are on the same computer with the live stream and the Zoom. So he needs to make sure that accept cookies. That he is doing this. No problem. Don't worry. We are almost there. Technology is not helping us today. We had problems with the metro already because there was a dead body found somewhere on the tracks, and people were more than a half an hour late to start. So, so that goes. That works. That works. Video works. All right.
Okay, so I should be able to join now. I don't want to do the advanced stuff.
I need to. Marcos, you are host. You are host. You should accept Gert being. You should accept Gert as part of the meeting now.
Where can I do that?
You will see normally with participants.
Yes.
And then you should have the possibility to add some to sort of see that somebody is asking to join.
Yeah, okay. And to share the compartir.
Yeah, so first let him in the meeting, so then I can close this off.
Can you see my screen now?
I cannot see your screen, but you need first to, yeah, now I see your screen, but you first need to sort of accept Gert in the meeting.
Okay.
Because otherwise we cannot get this here on the screen.
Let's see.
Somewhere on the top you should have.
Yeah, I see. Here we go.
Okay.
Good.
He's there. Okay, I will leave the meeting.
All right, shut up. There we go. And I'll
Yes.
there we go.
All right. I'll just stand here. Good afternoon, everybody. We are ready to start the second part of the colloquium. May I ask you all to take your seats? Thank you very much. Welcome, Marcos, for being here live from A Coruna. Thank you for being live here from A Coruna and to share with us your experience and tips and tricks. I will leave the floor now to you, and I will move out of your image so you can share your screen.
I can't hear anything.
We hear. Yeah, because my mic is
Yeah, the microphone was blocked. So I mean,
Okay.
I just introduced you so that you can share your screen, Marcos. And thank you very much for joining us from A Coruna, being a valuable partner within this project. And we are looking forward to seeing and hearing what you are doing here. Right. If you put it on full screen, then we can completely we can go with that. Thank you very much.
Let's see. Yeah, I'd like to share my screen now. Hello. Where's my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marcos Pérez. I work at the Planetarium at Casa das Ciencias in Coruña, Spain. And today I'm going to try to share some insights on full dome production, specifically the visual part of it, just to well, in case it's useful for you. Philip proposed these do's and don'ts sort of title. It's really about some personal notes with experiences we've had here and with some colleagues, lots of conversations along the year that helped us shape a reasonable workflow to create imagery for the dome. The first idea is that full dome is nothing like flat media we're used to. We learn to see videos by watching movies from flat screens, from televisions to cinema to telephone, and we learn the rules of this format through that experience. We usually get exposed to dome imagery later in life, so many of the rules that work for flat imagery do not apply in the dome. Off-screen, focus, framing planes, the fundamentals of rhythm, you will have to rethink them all when working in a 360 project. So the idea is that these notes cover some basics that can help you save some head scratching and time, and hopefully inspire you to contribute to the creation of a full dome cinematographic language. At this point, anyone entering the field may still be considered a pioneer. So the first idea is that most of the media you create is going to be perceived from the peripheral vision system of the audience. The center of vision is just a few degrees in the direction you are looking, and most of the content which is going to be displayed in the screen, it's going to be perceived as peripheral vision. This has a lot of importance because that means that most of your audience will miss most of the images you are displaying. And if they don't miss them, they're going to perceive them at low resolution and with low attention. So the idea is that we need to simplify our compositions, our shots, and space events in time to create the time needed for the audience to scan through our images in order to make sense of them. So I got this, I grabbed this full DOM frame from full DOM database website. It's a complex frame. You can see the structure of this building, some bubbles which are reflecting the building itself, some human figures that you may have noticed. They are like scuba divers. There's light coming from windows, detail of the paintings on the walls, and so on. The idea is that this frame, as a still image, takes several seconds to scan before making any sense of it. If this frame is part of a movie, of a moving image, it's difficult to scan. We focus on some part of it, we travel to another part, we try to make sense. When watching this in a screen, like right now, it's easy to cover most of it using direct vision with high detail and attention. On the dome, half of this image is going to be behind us. So we may have to move our necks, turn our head around to scan it. So again, simplify your images and create space and time to allow for people to scan through the images. Now, a technical point which is difficult to understand at first, but it's very evident when you first work on the dome, is the fact of cross-reflection. When we are projecting on a reflective screen on a dome, any light that projects on the left side of the dome is going to scatter and reflect towards the right part in front of it. So we are projecting, and at the same time, we are reflecting light on other parts of the dome. The result of this cross-reflection is a generalized lowering of the perceived contrast of the image. The image on the left is what we have in the screen of our laptop when we're designing the media, and the image on the right is how it looks on the dome. So this is something we cannot avoid. This is something that happens every time in every dome projection, but there are some techniques that allow us to minimize its effects. The first one, obviously, would be to avoid any bright spots on the image, like this white window on this shot, where natural light is entering this telescope dome, is going to be very white, very bright, the dome projection, and so it will create a lot of cross-reflection. If for whatever reason we cannot avoid to have bright patches on the dome, the idea is to place them closer to the zenith of the image, closer to the center of the image, because in that position we minimize cross-reflection. Cross-reflection is greater when we place bright spots of light near the horizon. Another thing we can do is adapt our images while processing them to the particular dome we will be projecting them. The idea is that every dome is different. They depend on screen reflectivity, the brightness and contrast of the projectors, the presence of any other element in the room that may project light in the dome. So sometimes it's good to check the place, the venue where will you be projecting your images, to see how and take with you some examples to see how they work. Here at Casa de las Ciencias, for many years, we had to force the contrast of our images to make them work in our projection system. When we check them in our computers, they will look extremely unnatural, like really forced HDR images. But once projected on the dome, they looked quite right. So it's a good idea to take some examples in advance to the planetarium or to the dome projection system and check how they look there. There are some tools that may help people to assess the effect of cross-reflection in the production workflow. You have a website here that has it's not very easy to use, but it's a tool you may use sometime. In the column on the left, you have the original frame. We have 3 different frames here. You can see like one on the top is like a bluish blob of matter against a dark background. The one in the middle is a set of brighter light spots against a black background again. And the one on the bottom left is like a room with natural light entering through the ceiling and some windows. If you look at the column on the right, you will find the final looking result. This is how your images will effectively look or be perceived in the dome projection. So what used to be black in the background of your first image is not gray, because some of the blue light is going to be reflected on that part of the dome. You may perceive also a general diminishing of the perceived contrast, so it looks like less quality. And the same happens in the other 2 images as you go down. The column in the middle shows you all that parasitic light, all that reflected light that has been projected everywhere in the dome. You can see that the image in the bottom is lighter in parasitic light, so it's creating the most cross-reflection. As we said earlier, if you have bright white spots in your shot, that's going to be a source of cross-reflected light. Whereas the image in the middle creates the less cross-reflection. So dark backgrounds with small spots of light work best in full dome shows. Talking about white light on the dome, there is another problem, and that is that you are trying to immerse your audience in a world of fiction. It's an imaginary world. They may be thinking that they are floating in space. They may be riding a roller coaster, or they may be submerged in the ocean or in your own dreams or nightmares. But whenever you project a blob of white light on the dome, the seams, the physical seams, the panels of the projection screen are going to be revealed, and that will suck everyone out of the illusion. So they will be, instead of being floating in space or down in the ocean, they will notice that they are sitting in a humble planetarium watching some video. So that's something you really need to avoid. A couple of days ago, we had some test sessions in the planetarium for a forthcoming music show with live images. This was captured with my phone. It's just a part of the dome where you can see something created using Touch Designer. And it looked quite right. There were some bright numbers, but reasonable. And then came these flashes of white light. Okay, I'm going to stop it here. I'm going to play it again. I'm going to try to stop it at one of these. Here. You see the seams of the dome? Okay. Everyone in the planetarium could see for just a fraction of a second that magic object floating in space was something that was being projected on that screen with its corrosion spots and stuff like that. So remember that white should be, whenever possible, avoided at all costs in the planetarium. Now, let's get into something geometrical. Just as there are different types of planetariums depending on the projection system, the quality of the screen, brightness of the projectors, there are different types of planetariums regarding the geometry. Okay, so we have planetariums like this scheme here, where seats are looking all in the same direction, and the dome is tilted. So the seats are like in an inclined plane. This is called a tilted unidirectional planetarium, and that requires that the images you create adapt to that kind of projection. So this is typically where you will find images that tend to gravitate towards the place where everybody is looking. This kind of unidirectional planetariums are very close to classic cinemas, if you want. Planetariums like the one in Casa de las Ciencias in A Coruna are concentric and flat, like every seat is looking towards the center of the planetarium, and the horizon of the image is parallel to the ground, so there's no inclination. And when you produce content for these kind of planetariums, you have to adapt it to that geometry. So this is a typical frame shot of concentric media created for one of these planetariums. You see that the floor, the ground is all around at the same distance to the horizon. The image is flat. It's not a good, I took it because it's also a good example of too much white light on the dome, but this will work from a geometrical point of view. When we use directional projection, like these are two examples of images created for directional projection in domes. The one in the left is for a flat unidirectional. So you lower the ground so that it seems realistic, and there's nothing happening in the back half of the image. The problem is that when you use one of these shots in a concentric planetarium, half of the audience is just seeing some blue sky with the sun in there. So not very interesting. The action happens right in their backs. The image in the right is a similar one, but adapted for projection in a tilted unidirectional planetarium. So it looks flattish when you look from this tilted row of seats, but it looks very unnatural when you project it in either a flat unidirectional or a flat concentric planetarium. So it's a good idea to know in advance what kind of planetarium geometry are you producing for, and take that into account. I will have to say here that for most of their history, planetariums used flat concentric projections where everybody is in a similar position to everybody else. But with digital protection systems, both the vendors of the systems and also the producers of the content tend to promote unidirectional because it's easier for them. I think it's worse for the audience, but it's easier for vendors and content creators. Something less mathematical, but just as relevant, is the fact that planetariums are venues with a strong personality. They usually have core audiences that flock in for events, whether they are astronomy related, music or poetry, but they are the people that usually go to planetariums for science. This does not mean that you cannot do any other thing in the planetarium, but I think it's a good idea to embrace that fact and use it for your advantage. Like you can get the inspiration from astronomical images or phenomena, like this Aurora Borealis that I used for this example. You can make visual connections with the legacy of the science that's linked to the planetariums, and a large part of the audience will immediately be right on your side. So it's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing that planetariums have this strong personality, but you have to acknowledge it. Now, if it's important that the programmers of events that are not directly related to science inform the potential audience of this fact. So if you surprise the typical planetarium audience with music or poetry or something that has no science at all, you may perceive some frustration. You don't want to frustrate your audience. So make sure that the programmers have made it clear that the project is not astronomy related, and reinforce that communication on your own side. Back to science, visual perception is a source of knowledge and also of inspiration. In this image, you can see the distribution of rods and cones, the cells that are in our eyes and perceive light. Rods do not perceive color and are scattered all around the retina. And the cones perceive color and tend to concentrate in the center, where most of the resolution and capacity of our visual system is. However, red cones are abundant, but blue cones are scarce. Less than 2% of all cones perceive bluish light, and they are not at the center. So that means that if you use blue in your images or things with blue details in them, they will not be perceived with very detail. So if you want detailed images, go towards reddish, and if you don't mind that lack of detail, you can use blue. This is just one aspect of visual science, okay? So the difference in color perception in humans. But there are many other things that are easy to understand and that may inspire you to explore different things to try when producing for the dome. Now, again in this image, you can see that rods which do not possess color information concentrate in the exterior part of the retina. And that's where we grab the light that goes into the peripheral visual system. So peripheral visual system does not see color very well or at all. So again, connecting with the beginning of this talk, most of your images will not even be perceived as colorful by the audience. Another relevant thing is the fact that the domes are usually very big. Brussels is about the biggest you can get. It's like 23 meters in diameter, 11.5 meters radius, and the projection systems are typically between 4K and 8K. That means 4,000 or 8,000 pixels as measured along the meridian, the longest line you can draw in the planetarium. Well, for printed media, the standard is that you should have like 300 dots per inch to have a non-pixelation effect, to perceive that as not composed by individual pixels. If we translate these 300 dpi to dome resolution, we would need 15K, which very, very few planetariums in the world generate. That would be extremely expensive to run. So most domes are working at resolutions that do not hide the pixels. So this image shows how you see stars in a star field projection from 40 centimeters, from half a meter, and as projected on the dome. Your pixels are there, okay? And this also means that you don't need to waste many resources in detail that will not be perceived by the audience. So we all know that computing power is getting better, but working at resolutions above what will be perceived does not make any sense. And once again, it's a very good idea to take your some shots to test in the planetarium where they will be seen by the audience before going into a full rendering operation. Now, this is a little bit esoterical, but it makes sense. The idea here is that we produce content working on our laptop or on our desktop computer. In my laptop, an object crossing a diagonal from corner to corner in a couple of seconds will move at around 15 centimeters per second. I can follow that, it's not very fast. However, once I project that on image on a 23-meter dome, like the Brussels Planetarium, the speed is 1,800 centimeters per second, almost 2 meters per second. And that's pretty quick. It's so quick that most audience will not even see it if their attention was somewhere else. Now, this shot is live 360 video we shot in the Canary Islands. Some of it is stationary. Now the camera is slowly moving. It was really on top of a car and we had to slow the motion. And here we wanted to shoot the arrival of an airplane. We are right by the Las Palmas airport. The plane is there. You see it approaching, and there it goes. Okay, this is 360 video, so it's natural. That's how it should look. Okay, and when you see it on the dome, it works well. Now here we don't see the plane yet. The audio shows the plane approaching, and you see it on the dome much earlier than you see it on the screen. So it's very important, again, when you produce images using digital production tools, it's very important to check on the dome, because you may be surprised by not even being able to see on the dome what you spend a lot of time working on the computer. Now for some inspiration. I always advise the people who start working with us that they don't limit themselves to the tools they have already mastered. We have specialized people in Maya or 3D Max or touch designer, and they're very good at it. But I think that dome production really benefits from a mixture of techniques, and particularly a mixture of source of inspiration. I wanted to show you a video of some we work with some artists. By hand. Okay. We had some artists creating some chemical reactions that we will, sorry, again, I don't know why it's not running. Stops here, okay. These chemical reactions, this is analog video, okay? This is chemistry and analog video. So it's like a chromatic reaction we use to animate characters in a movie. It would be very difficult to recreate these sort of textures and I don't know what to call them, detail, movement, sort of things using digital media. So sometimes even going to the very basics of special effects design for ancient movie or ancient cinema is a very good idea. You can get a lot of inspiration there. Regarding other sources of media out of the digital realm, I would really advise against time lapses. They apparently look good. They allow you to compress time to make things understandable, but they're really tiring for audience. I think this kind of media that has been used a lot and it's not, it doesn't work very well most of the time. So it's good to limit time lapse to when there is no other option at all. And regarding live video, we have cheap, good 360 cameras right now. Keep in mind that they're extremely tricky to use, okay? You have to compose shots that work all around in every direction, that do not include bright spots like the sun or lamps, that have a reasonable similar exposure in every direction. If you move the camera and the camera jerk will make the video unusable on the dome, and you will also be constrained to the extreme wide angle of the lenses, so it's difficult to get a good combination of foreground, background, and center of interest. So, and also every straight line is going to be bent by the projection of the dome. So 360 requires, it seems to be easy, but it really requires a lot of work to make it look good on the dome. And this is an example of a mixture of different media for a movie. It's just it's not a full dome projection. It's just part of the image where we're creating some stars talking to each other. The flowing matter in the stars is digital. This was like 10 years ago. I think we used some lip sync plugin to animate the mouths. And these stars would somehow interact with other characters in this film for kids, which were cells that were created using the chemical reactions I showed you earlier. So those chemical reactions allow us to create like fictional organisms that would look organic and alive, even though they were just cells. I'm going to advance this to see if we can get to the point where they appear. Okay, here are the cells. So you can see that the inside of those cells, let's call it like that, is moving all the time. The behavior is organic. It's easy to create very different things with this technique. So once again, search for new tools and get inspiration from the fathers of the special effects, like we did for this movie. It's probably something, this part here. We had a ballet at the end of this film, and you can see again an object that is at the same time cellular, but it's organic and alive. And I wanted to finish with something that is very centered on your own experience as producers of content. That is the difficulty to work on the final geometry. When we think about the full images, it's something that looks like a disk. The center of your disk is the zenith of the projection. The border of the disk is the horizon of the projection, and it's difficult to position and scale things and elements in that projection. So sometimes it pays off to use another projection at points of protection, like this cylindrical equidistant projection that we use for maps of the world. You just have to work them into a sphere once you're finished to produce. You have to keep in mind that the full version only shows half of the disk. And you have to keep in mind that you have to position the floor somewhere around the middle of the image. And I didn't want to introduce many more things in this talk because this thing is a lot to have in one shot. I will share my written notes with you, so you can use them if you wish. And now, if you want, we can have some conversation about what I said.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Oops.
I don't hear you, Philip.
And do you hear me now? Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear that.
Okay, so I need to sort of do the microphone like this and then hear it. So thank you very much for your insights. I think they definitely are very interesting for a lot of people. I had a lot of new information here. I'm looking a little bit around if there are people who have questions. No. Yes.
What do you think about the new type of projections like the sphere in Las Vegas?
The question was, what do you think about the sphere in Las Vegas and this new type of projections?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see it. Obviously, I'd like to see it. I like the fact that some new technology goes in the opposite direction to this sort of individual experience with your own phone or your 3D glasses that has been promoted by the tech companies in recent times. I doubt they will be commercially sustainable in places other than Las Vegas, LA, New York, or something like that.
I see a lot of people nodding here in in the room on that. Anybody else who wants to? Yes, Daria. No?
Sorry.
I thought you wanted to ask a question.
No, sorry.
Okay, no problem, no problem,
Yeah,
no problem.
just pointing out something.
No problem.
Sorry, at the same time.
Okay. So thank you, Marcos. Thank you also for sharing Dan, your notes and your presentation so that we can share this also with everything, which is the reporting side of things. It was super to have you with us with all your tips and tricks. And well, next time, hopefully we see each other live again in A Coruna or somewhere else.
I love it.
Thank you. If you want to give now the host status to Janir, then we can start with Janir.
Okay. How do I do this?
Click to the top right of the person. And then you have three buttons or three dots, and then make hosts.
Okay.
And then, yes, and then she can also share her screen. Let's see how I now need to make sure.
I think it's done.
Yes, thank you very much. Super. I will give now the floor to you, Janir. Thank you very much also for waiting. For you, it's 1 hour earlier than with us. So we're now moving a little bit on time, considering how it is. Thank you very much for joining us. And I will leave the floor to you to talk about CULTVR, which is something that most people don't know as such. And I think it would be very useful for everybody to sort of see where you are, what you are doing. At least when I was there, I was super impressed. So I hope I can share this this enthusiasm by having you here at this colloquium. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So I'm very sorry that we couldn't be there in person with you, but we are there in spirit from Cardiff, Wales, where I'm speaking to you from. So I'm going to share the screen and just give you a brief presentation about our journey and how we got into making full-dome films, and also creating a facility that it was one of the first immersive arts lab in Europe, and definitely the first immersive arts center in the UK, and independent as well. So we're very proud of that. So my name is Janna. I'm from Spain originally. I've been living in Wales on and off over 20 years. And I work with my creative collaborator, Wright. We met at university. We both studied photography, and all of a sudden we kind of flip and started making full-dome films because our background was in photography. So we wanted to create utilizing video and not just live CG animation techniques. So to give you a bit of context, when we started more than 10 years ago, we started a platform called the Dance Dome, where the intention was to make contemporary dance more accessible to the different audiences here in Wales, that sometimes they might not go into a theatrical space to watch a contemporary dance performance, but if a dome would pop up on their hometown and it was a free activity to all, they might step in, and before they realize it, they are watching a dance film. So that's why the project originated. And we created 3 different films, the 3 of them utilizing live capture. I agree with Marcos on how challenging and difficult it is to create video in this medium, mainly when you are producing a 4K kind of resolutions. And when we went to Immersa, a big conference that happens in the United States, and thinking we were going to find all the answers of how did you make a full-dome film in 2012? And they said, no, you cannot do that. You just need to use computer and CG animation to be able to create the graphics. The cameras are not ready. It's really hard, really challenging. The cutting between the scenes, zooming in and out, so many things that you can do you cannot do. But I think we like a bit of a challenge, and we are artists at heart. So for us, it was quite exciting that the medium still was at the point where you could add to it and still be creative and learn through the process. So we utilize lots of different techniques, from green screen to really clever grip equipment, so we could move the camera on the different scenes and then create these 3 immersive films. We were working with dancers, so for us it was very, very important to capture them at the different environments where we were working. So obviously video, it had to be achieved. So we screened the films all over the world at different planetariums, and it was a really successful project. And then, I think I mentioned briefly, we will tour our portable domes and we will showcase these films to the public. So the video that you can see now is from 2019, when we were in Hong Kong for a couple of weeks, showcasing the films, and in a way the same. It was really rewarding because we only not create the films, we also deliver them, so we can get very good audience feedback, which empower us for when we create our next production. So it's really good, and as creators, when you have the relationship with your audience and with the people that you want to share your project with, to gather the feedback firsthand. So we learn a lot through that. So then our next film, it was called Liminality, and originated as part of the UK-India Year of Culture. So we managed to get a grant, and we were able to collaborate with a dance company in Delhi, and we spent a couple of months in India with some Welsh dancers and choreographers filming there. And we brought the Indian dancers to Wales to continue their filming here. And we created an 11-minute film that it was really successful, and it won lots of festivals. And then our passion, it kind of had shifted, and we only didn't want to create full-dome films. We also wanted to explore live performance. So in the UK, there was no place where we could undertake this because the facilities didn't exist. We have lots of planetariums, but they have fixed seating, and you cannot, in a way, accommodate.
May I just interrupt, because I think you are putting new slides on, but we don't see the new slides.
Okay, so what slide can you see?
Now we can't see any slides. So you need to do full screen again. Yeah. Okay. Can you? Because the slides, we only saw the first slide as such. So now we see the movie. Thank you very much. So if you want to go back and show things, just for us.
Not really. I think we just pick it up from this point. So
Super.
what I was saying is that we made this film called. Thank you for letting me know. Anyway, I'm glad to know before I go through the whole presentation. So we made this film called Liminality, and then we had to go to Canada and create in the Stratosphere Dome this immersive experience where we were able to bring the Welsh dancers with the Indian dancers and the musicians, and we were doing the visuals live at the same time. So for a couple of weeks, we were able to have all the production crew together, and then present the work to audiences for 2 weeks as well. So we got sold out shows, really amazing reviews, and it was a project that it felt that for us, it launched us in a different kind of path. All of a sudden, we were taken by the power of immersion as we were making all these full-dome films, but also having the live performance element. And when we came back to the UK, we couldn't share this work with anybody because of the reasons that I mentioned. There was no facility where you could have artists and present live performance to audiences. So we kind of decided to make our own immersive arts lab that is CULTVR Lab. And I'll show you a video that is also a little bit about it. So as I mentioned, we are in Wales, in the UK. We are a totally independent company. We run a 10,000 square foot facility, and we call it CULTVR Lab. We operate under 3 strands. We have the lab, that is the physical space where we can prototype and R&D and present to audiences live performances and full-dome films, and we can bring together producers, artists, filmmakers, poets, musicians, anybody interested in creating for this medium, and present it to audiences to gain this invaluable feedback. So we have designed the space with different principles in mind. One, it has to be flexible, because we learn that in a way planetariums cannot accommodate all the kind of artistic projects and ideas that artists can come up with. So we don't have any fixed sitting, so in a way that doesn't restrict any creation. And we can tailor the space depending of the project. So we also have 15 speakers, so we can offer a specialized audio experience. And our dome runs with 12 projectors, and we get a 4K resolution image, and we can host dance, theater performances. We do a lot of live music, and we host festivals sometimes. Some of you might have visited us recently, I believe, in Fulham, UK in October, which was very successful because it brought lots of creatives from around the world to learn about Fulham and what this medium has to offer. And then we have another space that we call the gallery. And as you can see, hopefully, if you still can see the video, we can reconfigure in lots of different ways. So we can use it as a green screen studio for our productions, but we also use it as an exhibition space to showcase like 2D media, and we can projection map it. So then we have an immersive gallery, rectangular space, and then upstairs, because we love domes, we have more domes. We have our studio dome, 3 meter, that we can take on tour, and also a 6 meter dome that we utilize more for different projects, but not so much for projection. So this is the place that is in Cardiff, and I hope some of you can come and see us. And here are some pictures of when it's with public. And one thing that might be interesting to some of you, we run a program called Catalyst 360, and I'll go to that slide really quickly, and then I'll come back here. And we can offer different artists the possibility to create in our space and then to present to public audiences these creations. And we just recently got confirmation of our next round of funding. So we will be announcing very, very soon the guidelines for this open call. So keep an eye on the CULTVR social media in case it's interesting to any of you. We did it a few years ago, and we have 1 international residence, artist in residence, 1 from the UK and 1 from Wales. So there is an opportunity, hopefully, for everybody here. And we also do like an open day when we invite our local community to kind of learn about what we do and how immersive tech can inspire younger generations, and in a way, what are the creative and the industry paths of these new technologies. So I wanted to show you really briefly one of our productions that we are presenting next week again. And we work a lot with musicians and make immersive live performances, and we create the visuals, and obviously they perform live. So this is a project called Unipa with a band called Slowly Rolling Camera. And this is the first live performance we had here in the lab 5 years ago when we opened, and we are bringing it back next week to celebrate our 5th birthday. I doubt that some of you might be able to come, but anyway, in case. And just briefly, I'll tell you a little bit about our most recent project that is called Arca Kinari, Artivism at Sea, as a way of how we have utilized the dome and full dome to tell a story that really touched our hearts, and we felt it deserved to be told utilizing this media. So we work with some friends, colleagues called Philistine and Nova, who are musicians, and they used to tour to very big festivals around the world, but they are also climate activists. So in a way, they felt that their method didn't match their message. So as they were kind of preaching about how the planet is suffering, they were contributing to that carbon footprint going to festival. So they came with this idea that could solve the problem and find a more sustainable way of touring. So they got a boat, and now, since they got this boat 4 years ago, they've been sailing all the way from Europe, Rotterdam, that is where they found the ship, all the way to Indonesia, and they stop at lots of different ports and communities and offer performances from the boat itself. So they project on the sails, and they interact with lots of fishing and very small communities. So we wanted to tell their story. So we traveled to Indonesia in 2022, and we were documenting how is life at sea, how is sailing in a very limited space, living with 7 people, and why they were trying to understand why they were doing this project. So hopefully, I don't know if the video is consistent or not, but you can see some images of when we were there with them on board. And the idea was to create a full-dome film and a live performance. But the post-production, it was a huge task, and it took us over a year to edit a documentary film that is 14 minutes in length. And because some parts of the story already had happened before we came in contact with these artists, then we had to CG and use these techniques to tell parts of the story. And hopefully here you can see a couple of examples. Marcos was talking about this, the data and everything to manage is very hard. And I'm going to show you just a small trailer of the documentary film that hopefully it plays in your screens. And the documentary was finished a year ago, and now it's been screened in some domes and planetariums around the world. But we also have turned this project into a live performance. So we've been very fortunate to have Gray and Nova, the artists, here in Wales, and present a live performance work to audiences. We also have taken it to Plymouth and to Canada. So in a way, we have a small dome tour across different dome environments, presenting this work to the public. And let me see if I have a video that shows a little bit the project. Just to give you an idea of how different art disciplines can be integrated in the full dome environment. So in a way, I'm sorry that you couldn't see the slides at the beginning of the presentation. Have a look at CULTVR for more information about what we do. We are totally independent, really passionate about 360, full dome media, and live immersive performance. And if anybody wants to connect with us, our door is open. So please send us an email and tell us more about your projects. So if you have any questions, let me know as well. Sorry. Let me know as well, and I'll be here for a couple of minutes.
Super, thank you. Thank you very much. Now you're back. Super. Yeah, it's a pity that we didn't see the first slide, but can you send it? Can you send the presentation to me so that I can share it with the people that were here also, so then they can sort of follow it, and we can also share it on our website from the project. Are there any questions, remarks, ideas, kudos? I think everybody is quite impressed and still sort of digesting.
The speech was so impressive that I will
I would like afterwards ask from Philip your contact. Is it possible?
That's of course possible. At least
I think send it to the group.
I think you will have a difficult choice to make when you do the open call, because I see a lot of people already sort of like, I'm going to.
I will send 3 poems immediately.
There are people that want to send now already. So definitely, yes. If there would have been budgets left, I would have proposed them with all the poets to go there even. So and please send me some send also the details on the festival that's there next week or the week after. I'm subscribed to the newsletter, so they have a very interesting newsletter, and I think you can most probably confirm that there are only 3 spaces worldwide that I know of, which is in France, you, and then in Montreal. I think those are the 3 spaces that really work like you, and for the rest there is nothing as such. So I think that for all the artists here, I see them all taking notes. So I mean, it's so you will definitely have some people for your open call. I'm very sure about that.
If I can interrupt quickly, I believe the place in Montreal that is called Society for Arts and Technology, he opened yesterday another open call for artists in residence. So have a look at the website, because hopefully you can find both opportunities.
That's the PJIAT one. That's the PJIAT one, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
That just produced Nick Cave, if I'm not. Wasn't Nick Cave that was there with the project? I don't know. Fine. Anyway, but I will send also that link here in the group. Thank you very much for that. Is there any last question that somebody wants to ask? Don't be shy. They are all very shy.
That's all right.
But once they get your email, I mean, take time. I'm sure about that. Thank you very much. I mean, as I said, I mean, I was very much impressed when I visited you there, and I'm very thankful that you could make it and to present CULTVR, and we'll definitely stay in touch for later. Also, thank you to Marcos for your presentation on the do's and the don'ts, and thank you already, Marcos, for sending the presentation and your notes. So, and if Janna then does that, then I can share that with everybody here, and we can share that also on our website from the UTM project. So thank you very much. I will leave the online part of our conference. I will close this off now and close the Zoom meeting, and then we go to see Janna Beck to her presentation. So thank you very much, and have a pleasant day, and I hope that nor in Spain nor in Wales you will have a lot more storm coming and problems with water and climate change there. So thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good festival. Bye.
All right. Last but not least, get the kabel. Er is een HDMI. Als jij er kunt aanhangen, is dat goed. Dan gaan we deze eventjes eruit gooien. I'll be temporarily technical aids here. Technical aids. So this is our last presentation of today. Okay. So Janna, the floor is yours.
Too big?
More aan de micro branden.
Yeah. Conscious. Okay, hello everybody. Philip asked me to give a short insight on an application we worked on during this Urban Travel Machines project. I suppose, Philip, everybody is aware of the project, or should I frame it?
You can frame it.
Okay, I'll quickly frame it. The most people know where it's about. So it was a Creative Europe project where we worked with 3 art schools, 4 planetaria, together with 15 poetry artists, and from each art school around 15 students who were in small groups making visuals for the different poetry artists. There was a complete plan of creative courses, production, test cases in the different planetaria, and from tomorrow evening, the entire project will be showcased here. Now, one of the add-ons or things that was planned in the project was to make a digital connection also with online or offline public. And for that, so maybe I have to introduce myself a bit. I'm Janna Beck. I work at the Royal Academy of Antwerp. I'm the coordinator of the research group MaxLab, and I'm also a tutor of interactive design for the students of Bachelor 3 and Masters in Graphic Design. So this is actually the first sketch of the app where we started from. The idea came from, as I, together with Philip in the preparation, saw some poetry performances, noticing that people don't applaud, but they do like this. If there's an appreciation of what is said, not to disturb too much. And the idea was to capture this idea into a simple application that could give like a digital applause. So this was the first sketch. The idea was like, oh, sorry, computer fell asleep. Yeah. So the idea was in the first sketch, like this a bit. So you have live at the planetarium. There was the idea to put live audio into the application. Then you could maybe work with live visuals, but that always depends on servers and technical possibilities. Actually, the core was like you can tap and it gives a feedback. As an output, we can calculate the total amount of taps, so you could bring it larger, and can be used with any live performance if possible. So we made this core basic of this visual applause using the KISS principle, is keep it stupidly simple. So on this moment, it is that URL you see there. I will show it. Anyone can go to that URL, and from the moment you click, you see these clicks. If you do it from different devices, like now I'm doing it from my phone and I'm doing it here. So anyone who wants can be added to it. And we can then, or it will be during the show, so you'll see it will be projected large. As I said, it is stupidly simple, and the base is there, and it can be used for different. We can change the visuals. You can start calculating the data. You can make it open for online use, offline use. It's possible someone is following a live stream on YouTube and on the same time tapping to connect with the other public that is there. There was also the idea first to put it in some kind of a dark mode. So we made it dark, so as far as in a planetarium, that you don't have this extra light coming out, that you could also use the app. We used it recently for another project. That's how we work often, like it's a basic, simple piece of software we created. It's actually Lab 101, our colleague, Chris, who works there, who made the base. And we recently had an installation called the Grid, and there we used it, so it's actually the same, but here you see it's in a grid shaped, and that was a projection on the ceiling that consisted of a grid, so people could also interact the same way as we use it here for this digital applause. So if something very good is said, you probably see a lot of clicks happening. And the idea is once you have the data, once you have the inputs, and you have time and budget to work on it, you can go anywhere. You can like make it bigger and smaller, and so you have a digital applause that goes along with performances. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to say about it. Are there any questions?
There are already quite a lot of users.
Yeah.
That's the fun part of it. Yeah. The fact is that we will not be able to do that on the dome because we can't put the two things together. So if we use that now, then it's on the square projection.
Then it will be on a square projection.
Then it will be on a square
it always depends of what kind of technology you use for projection. Within the domes, we noticed that around the project, that a lot of these domes have, or planetaria, they have like more old-fashioned technology because they're built earlier. It are quite expensive servers. They have certain rules of what they can show, what can't they show. Like if you, in different setups outside of the planetaria, you often have much more freedom in using Resolume software, making layers, extra inputs and stuff like that, which is not always possible, unfortunately, in a dome.
No, and as we have just seen also, there are only 3 real artistic domes worldwide existing, so this is also...
Yeah, because one of the first ideas as well, but because of technical possibilities in the dome, but the original idea was that you would, around the dome, like the bottom layer would be there to show the applause and the appreciation of the people. But so it's now made just with little dots. And it's we will in the future use it for different occasions, of course.
Anybody? Thank you. That was short, brief, concise. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, also for the people watching us online or that have watched us online. We are very happy that you joined us there. I can now close our session. Thank you very much for being present, for sharing the stories during the day, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you all perform the next 2 days. Also sort of like how the open mic will go tonight, and perhaps Mixi, you can welcome, can just say something about that, on how the format is and how you have done this, because this is also something that was asked during the day. So I think it's better that you would sort of like explain this. As we have seen alongside the day, we had different experiences, different technologies. We had some good advices for future possibilities and future technology to be used. And there are at least 2 open calls, the one at PHI in Montreal, which is now open, and then the CULTVR one, which opens soon. So that's definitely, that gives a lot of opportunities and possibilities, and I think this also helps within the project, also you as artists, for your mobility, for the fact that you can create more and in new and more elaborate ways.
What did you say? What call is open?
What? There is, the call is already open for the PHI, which is in Montreal.
Yeah.
So, and CULTVR, as Janir said, will open shortly for.
But this is like for anybody or like only the
No, this is
Western rich people.
as an artist, you can apply. So, and the fact is that there are for instance, CULTVR gives also the opportunity to go there, but then due to the fact that because they are a private non-governmental institute, then there is a fee to be paid, of course, for the use of space and people and material. I think that within the open call, this is one place for an international artist that they offer because they got funding for that. PHI is a little bit similar. Lyon, I don't know as such on how they work. But they do also on a regular basis, they do open calls, but that's in French. Yes. So this is also something to take into account, but as we also heard, these are the three places where you can do something similar. So this is perhaps also an idea for a follow-up project, because at a certain moment we know that in Tartu, they have a portable dome somewhere in their cellar where they sort of say like, yeah, okay, we have this, but we are not using it because it's too complicated to set it up as such, and with VR technology coming. But yeah, and with technology becoming less and less expensive, like these blow-up domes are reasonably priced, but yeah, we are still talking about 100,000 euros or 200,000 euros with all the technology for the projection and whatsoever inside. If that's just the budget, it's possible that it's a lot higher also. So it's just that when technology sort of evolves quicker and there are more doing this, then there is also more possibility to move around. Like you have seen also a dance performance. I think here in the planetarium you could still do something dancey, let us say, because you have a little bit of space. But the people that went to Tartu, for instance, you could move. No, and or like also with A Coruna, if you moved a little bit too much, you fell off the stairs because the stairs were in the middle coming up. No, it's just the limitations of this are enormous because also all planetaria have already fixed seating, and like with these type of artistic spaces, there is no fixed seating. Which also helps in what you can do there as such. But thank you very much, everybody, also for your attention, for staying awake during all this. It's not per se always easy, but I think that for some of you it was interesting enough to stay the whole time. And then I would like to introduce Mixie from Speakeasy Brussels to you, who will run the open mic tonight, and who can explain what will happen or what has been happening to get to the open mic subscriptions and whatsoever. So warm help.
And then some stuff happened, and now we're here. Hi, I'm Mixie. Maybe some of you have seen before. I run Speakeasy Open Mic Brussels, which is a multilingual open mic night here in Brussels. Not only every second Thursday of the month, but we have various little performances, art things, workshops all around. We advocate multilingualism as a way to communicate, but mostly poetry as a way to communicate. And we want to be a kind space, which means that we don't tolerate any of the bad isms and none of the bad phobias. But arachnophobia is very welcome. So tonight, the previous couple of years, we organized an open mic just before this big Planetarium poetry thing, so that the performers could kind of mingle with the Brussels crowd and have like a little experience, like a little Brussels experience, which mostly just means having a beer, having some frites, and doing some loud poetry on the stage. So this is for the first time we are going to be doing the open mic here in the Planetarium with some live drawing by some of our Speakeasy collective artists who are in some way connected. And we've launched an open call to the Brussels public to send in their poetry, and we've picked 7 people to come and perform. The theme of tonight is hope and resilience, and this is not necessarily, be positive. No, there can be darkness in there. You don't have to always have hope, because Speakeasy is definitely a place where mental health, for instance, is very important, and we like to be able to open up the stage to all emotions and to be the kind and safe space. So again, tonight we're going to hopefully be able to transfer that into the Planetarium, one of the biggest spaces we've been in so far. And I'm going to be hosting together with Wilma, my partner. And so we have 7 spaces open call, 7 spaces open mic, so people at the door. Very few people at their own time at 7 o'clock, they're allowed to put their name on a little list. And then we also have 7 spaces for the artists who are here today, who would like to perform. If you would like to perform, we're going to do it quite meanly. We're going to put your hats in a name.
Oh, that's very good.
That's very good, isn't it? Yeah, and then we're going to make one big name. No, we're going to put your names in Gio's hat. And I'm with my innocent hand, I don't know which one. I'm going to pick 7 names to perform tonight, if you want to perform. Maybe there'll be more time for more spaces, but we really wanted to give everybody some space. So every single group of people will have been selected out of a larger group of people. So we're making it fair as possible. Voila, we start, doors open at 7, we start at 7:30. There's a small break in the middle. We have a couple of really cool Brussels performances that I am really excited to see. So do stick around even if you're not performing. And afterwards, I thought we could go get some drinks.
How long is for each?
So 3 minutes would be good. Very good question. We told the people from the open mic 3 minutes max. We've told the people from the open call, if you could stick to 3, 4, that'd be nice. And we're going to ask you also, if you're going to perform, to stick to 3, 4. We've deliberately not selected people who have pieces of 10 minutes because it'll just be too long. Because in total, we'll have 21 spots. Voila. Any more questions?
Was there still any open spots?
Yeah, so there's 7 spots, and if you want to participate in the open mic, we're going to write your name down, put the names in a hat, put your hats in a name, and then pick all the hats out of the name, and then if you can wear the hat when you perform.
Nice.
On this note, I will close the live stream. So thank you very much for joining us.
Come tonight.
Come tonight.
When are we doing the